All right, time for quarterfinal or it's semi. I think it's semi. Yeah, it's a semifinals game from this month's REV GP, and the reason I'm commentating this is because it's going to be Slicer Sim versus Kayiu, aka Poor Color Consonance versus Kayiu, who is on like Sultai value ramp thing, and since Slicer Sim lost, since Slicer Sim beat me uh in round 4, like this is the grudge match. So hopefully Slicer Sim beats Kayiu for me. So Kayiu is on the play. Okay, sure. And so Kayiu has turn 2 Sarsetted. Does the Slicer Sim has turn 2 Leyline. That's actually not good because I don't like you can't trade with Sarsetted with Leyline challengers. So Sarset is going to come down, and I think Requiem is going to let Kayiu get a hit in, which is not ideal. Oh, more Leyline challengers. Oh, okay, yeah. So new divide that. So that gives Wildcourt Seeker a land to get back. Like the main problem here is that you play out Leyline challengers and just trump with it to prevent the opponent from ramping. I think it might be like it could be worth it. Kayu has way scarier 4 drops than Star Sim has scary 4 drops. So like keeping Leyline around for a turn doesn't actually do anything. But fortunately for Slicer Sim, Kayu doesn't draw anything super threatening to play on 4. Like if Starset gets a hit in, then the best they can do is play Ley Shard out. Okay, Kayu is going to play out Keeper Up the Scale and swing with Starsetted. So if this connects, then Starsetted gets Death Touch. Well, Slicer Sim just lets that happen. I feel like, well, actually, since I don't know what's in Kayu's hand, but like if I was in Slicer Sim situation, I feel like I probably would have considered at least blocking here because it prevents him from following up with a 2-drop, and like Leyline Challenge doesn't do anything right now. I guess it provides sack fodder. Does Kayu run sack cards? I should know this because I played them, but I don't think they do, so I don't. Yeah. Well, there's Wildcourt Seeker. Yeah, now you can't even block Starset with Wildcourt without forcing a trade. Well, I guess that gives you okay. Yeah, I guess that gives you this line, but that plays really hard into um Vibrant Vengeance. If the board gets wiped, Slice Sim is extremely sad. Or no, it's even bad into Field Test. And luckily, Kaiju does not draw Field Test, but yeah, now like do you okay? Kaiju's going to draw first. Yeah, there's Field Test. That is a problem. The Field Test wipes Slicer Sim's board and then makes him discard a card or something. How much can Kaiju Field Test for? They have 5 mana, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can Field Test for 2, and that snipes or no, that also kills Starsetted. So yeah, Field Test for 1, discard one of the lands, and then same with these guys. I don't think you can afford to block with Wildcourt here because that just screws you over so much if things don't go right. I think it's going to be a swing first, and oh no, they can't swing first because Caillou needs to make use of the mana now because it's floating right now. So they have to field test pre-combat at least. Yeah, there's field test, and my smile. So wipe board, draw a card. This actually prevents Keeper of the Scale from from dealing damage this turn, which is interesting, I guess. So Slicer Sim going to block Starsetted because if Starsetted connects, then Caillou gets access to 4 mana this turn, which goes up to like 7 mana next turn once Caillou untaps. But at the same time, like I don't think Slicer Sim can afford to trade off Wildcourt here because they need Wildcourt to get enough mana for Drift off next turn. So I guess that just happened. No, they're going to block. Interesting. That's huh. Okay, but then what's Slicer Sim's follow up? Because like okay, yeah, they realize that Starset has Death Touch. So yeah, now Kairi goes up to 4 mana this turn, I think. Even get oh yeah, that they also get treasure from Keeper of the Scale. I suspect like maybe drift offing the enchantments would be a good play here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that puts Kaiju down to 5 mana next turn, which isn't enough to do things. Ley Shard, so that also puts Kaiju up mana. And Grand Consonance. Okay, so Slicer Simp is going to look to ramp into Grand Consonance here. And they can do that if they're going to throw away one. Yeah, they're not at Consonance mana yet. Okay, well, they kind of have to do that, right? Because they can't actually cast Rift Off right now. Oh, that means they can't cast Rift Off. They can't cast Consonance next turn either because Warprey Rings is tapped. It's just not a good situation with how the mana works out. Okay, yeah, and Caillou does block here. So Slicer Simp needs to top deck and untap land next turn to be able to cast Grand Constance, and they also need to like not get discarded which I guess is doable. So like, I'm assuming Drift Off hits both Equinox marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That still puts Kayiu to 6 mana, which means they're able to Hoarding Colubre. Alternatively, like you can Drift Off Started plus from the Equinox marks. So that wipes the board and slightly sets Kayiu back on mana. You can actually Drift Off one Delay Shards. That doesn't even prevent a draw. Yeah, you just Drift off one of the Equinox marks, I think. And they are going to get rid of Star Setted. And yeah, that's about what I expected. So Kayiu can play Hoarding Colubre. They can also get a good top deck here. The Slasher Simp wants a top deck and untap land. But if they don't get that, then they're still alright if they top deck of expensive cards. Wants a top deck Field Test or Vibrant Vengeance right now, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like they can play Wild Court and Hoarding Colubre in the same turn, and then Nels. Oh, they get to draw a card first, and they get Vibrant Vengeance. They can go Vibrant Wild Court Seeker and tap next turn with stuff, right? They have access to 5 mana after the Vibrant Vengeance, and like playing down Vibrant Vengeance suddenly gives them a bunch of mana, so could be worth it. Alternatively, Kayiu can just slam Hoarding Colubre, and then that's a big fat thing that Slasher Simp has to deal with. Actually, can they go Wild Court Seeker into Vibrant Vengeance? I mean, yeah, they can do that, and then what? Can they go Wild Court into Hoarding? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think they can. So they need to decide between Vibrant Vengeance or Hoarding Colubre. And they're going to. Seems like they're going to Vibrant Vengeance first. Yep. And now they suddenly have a bunch of. Oh, actually, they can Vibrant into Hoarding. Yeah, that also works. And now Slasher Simp needs untap land to not die here. Oh, well, there you go. The Consonance always top decks well, and in this case, you got the untap land that you need. So now Slasher Simp needs to get some good top decks with the Consonance. I don't think there's a way for them to kill Hoarding Colubre, so they're mostly just looking for a way to blow up Vibrant Vengeance and then also get some board presence. They found a scratch. Okay, yeah, that works out pretty well for them. And they also grab a land. Did they also find anything else? Huh. Okay, they only got 2 cards out of the deal, but at least they get the Constance again. So Constance number 2, they're going to sack a forest. And let's see if Constance number 2 flips anything good. Well, they got artifact, creature, enchantment, and land, but they did not get any ways to blow up anything on the board. Okay, so Kayiu is still ahead right now because they have infinite mana and the Hoarding Colubre. Slasher Simp has a scratch, so they can Constance again next turn if they want to, and scratch the die. I mean, so Slasher Simp can protect the scratch with the Star Setteds. And yeah, so not the greatest consonances ever, but enough to not lose. And they did flip a scratch, so like, yeah. Oh, Vibrant Vengeance. Yeah, that blows up Scratch too. Yeah, that's a really good top deck from Kayiu. So yeah, so now Slasher Simp needs to top deck again. They can top deck another Grand Constance, right? That's really all you need to do here. It shouldn't be too hard to top deck another Grand Constance. I mean, you're playing 4-color Constance. You always get good top decks when you're playing that deck. I was thinking, which is interesting because you should always be killing Scratch here, right? Yeah, so there goes Scratch. And they can also get some Wild Court Secrets into play. So as soon as Kayiu actually top deck into anything good, then they're off. But right now, all they're doing is playing a bunch of things to the board. So they have infinite mana, but nothing to spend it on. And Slasher Simp just needs to. Well, they can also top deck like Archon and put the enchantment onto the Hoarding Colubre. Oh, there's Wild Court Seeker. The Wild Court Seekers are still all 3/3s, so Slasher Simp still has time. So yeah, you want to fetch right now. Just get the forest out of your deck right now. No, I guess. Well, I guess that still works out. Are they out of forests? Don't they run 4 forests in their deck? Yeah, they should have a forest somewhere. Okay, top deck Archon. Yeah, exactly what I expected. Or I mean, expected what I called. So Archon put the thing on Hoarding Colubre and hope opponent doesn't top deck any spells. And also play out Warp Ray Range because you might want more mana if next turn or something. I don't think there's any point in holding cards in hand. I guess you can use it to bait field tests, but I don't think that's worth it. Yeah. So Slasher Simp's top decking again, which is exactly what the Constance deck is good at doing. And Kayiu is also top decking again. Well, quote unquote top decking, which is not what their deck wants to do. It'll be hilarious if Kayiu ends up top decking even more lands because That's how they lost against me last GP. They just top decked a bunch of lands in a row. The best top deck for Kayiu right now would probably be Field Test or something. Oh, well, that's kind of, yeah, that's hilarious. The only thing that would be funnier right now is if Slasher Simp immediately top decks Grand Consonance afterwards. The Kayiu passes. Let's see what Slasher Simp gets. They probably want to fetch now. Ooh, well, this is also really good. So just Zara -1 is guaranteed to get rid of at least something useful. Or no, Zara -1 gets rid of Hoarding Colubre, and there goes your Confine. Maybe Zara +1 would be better right now. I mean, it plays the board. Or actually, Gates the Underworld is free to activate right now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It costs 2 to activate. You can activate Gates and then swing with it or something. Yeah, they're gonna play out Zar. Let's see what ability they use. They're going to -1 to that. Okay, yeah, they should -0, and that gets rid of probably Equinox Mark. No, it gets rid of Hoarding Colubre. Well, I mean, it means that the enchantment getting blown up isn't a problem anymore, but now you no longer have the free clock. Okay, does Kayiu get Field Test? Nope, they draw another land. I think Kaiyu's still going to hold back. Slasher Simp is also not leaving up the right mana for Gage the Underworld, right? Or no, they do, okay. Drift off again. Well, now Slasher Simp just drifts off both Wildcourt Seekers and swings in for... Okay, there goes Equinox Mark. I mean, you can also get rid of both Wildcourt Seekers, but... Or you can get rid of both Vibrant Vengeances, but I don't think that actually does anything useful, right? It puts Kayiu down to a reasonable amount of mana, but like right now Kaiyu's low on cards, or Kayiu needs more cards right now, not mana. I guess you can Zara minus to get rid of one of the Vibrant Vengeances, just to make sure that oh right, they minus Zar. Okay, there's Field Test, so Field Test, so you can Field Test for 1 million, but you also need to keep in mind that Field Test hurts you. But yeah, Kayiu does get to draw 1 million cards right now, and they have 1 million mana, so like maybe Slasher Simp should have thought about getting rid of the Vibrant Vengeances. So there's Field Test. So X equals 5, draw and wipe. Kayiu still has... How much mana does Kayiu have after this? Still way too much mana. Okay, so now Slasher Simp's on top deck mode again. They need to top deck another good card. So anyways, so yeah, last turn, Slasher Simp could have drifted off the Vibrant Vengeances. I wonder if that would have been more correct. So the main cards you're playing around, so basically Field Test was the worst case scenario for Slasher Simp, so drift off in the Vibrant Vengeances plays around Field Test. What else do you need to play around? You could, like, Xerox top deck. Actually, Zar top deck, maybe. Zar top deck would... So Zar top deck could force a sack of the Archon. You know, if Zar minuses, it's probably going to force a Zar sack. And then you still have Archon blocking the Wildcourt Seekers. But, like, I think Slasher Simp should have gotten rid of the Vibrant Vengeances because Wildcourt Seekers weren't doing enough. I think Slasher Simp could have let the Wildcourt Seekers stick on board, especially since they have Gated Underworld acting as a blocker for them. But now that this happened, Kayiu is back into the game with Field Test. Sky Cleaver... Oh, does this thing have haste on the backside? No, but it is kind of unkillable. Slasher Simp would need to -Star to kill it, which is not like something they can do right now, because the Vibrant Vengeances are also being 5-drops. And Keeper of the Scale. Kayiu's not playing the second Field Test, though, so they're just going to play a bunch of stuff to the board. And now, and force Slasher Simp to have an out to this board state. Slasher Simp top decks Vasilia. Okay, well, unfortunately this card isn't good enough. So they transform Vasilia and use it as a blocker for this thing. I don't think that works out. They -0 on Zara, which just forces a sack of Keeper. Yeah. And Kaiyu's going to sack the Wildcourt Seeker. So once this thing connects, Keeper of the Scale will put Death Touch on it, and then that becomes a Death Touch Trampler, right? So then it basically becomes unblockable. Slasher Simp concedes. All right, yeah, that's expected. Kind of just they realize that they lost. So looking at post board, Kayiu probably wants the club promoters and stuff. We actually get targeted discard, which is pretty good against the deck. And then Requiem brings in club promoter and scratches horseman and stuff. And bring down the house because this is a pretty board-based matchup. I'm still not super sure how to side in this matchup, even though I played it before. So I'll just like hope that Requiem also knows how to do it better than me, because I certainly don't. Alright, time for round 2. Slash the Simps on the play, and they get a hand with no early drops. They have to mulligan this. They keep it. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I guess they're hoping to top deck some early drops then. And Kayiu, meanwhile, keeps a hand with turn 2 discard and Wildcard Seeker. Does Slash the Simp... Okay, so Kayiu plays tap land turn 1. Let's see if Slash the Simp gets the thing that they need. That's still really slow. Yeah, so also, Slash the Simp can't cast Rift Off on turn 3 if they need to. Not that they need to, because they're just going to get discarded, but yeah, hopefully Slash the Simp top deck is 3-drop that actually does something. Kayiu can just take the Drift Off because it's basically the only thing that's castable in a while. Actually, no, Slash the Simp can play Archon Flipped to turn off the Wildcard Seeker, although that's anti-synergistic with Zar, but we already established that. Like, Zar plus Archon is anti-synergistic, but you kind of have to do it anyways because they're both the best cards in their respective slots. And Archon also turns off Merlai. Kayiu takes Zar, interesting. And Slash the Simp tops at Grand Consonance, and now you just pass without doing anything. And Xerax, okay. So Kayiu knows that Archon Flip is coming out, so I guess they just play out. Do they play Wildcard or Merlai? I think they play Merlai. No, they don't have the right mana for it, so they're just going to play out Wildcard. And that lets Kayiu cast Xerax next turn, which is not good for Slicer Simp. Womp. Okay, well, yeah, you kind of have to play Archon Flip right now. And then I guess next turn you play Vasilia and hope it does something. You can Vasilia Flip into the Hexproof guy, I guess. Xerax can also minus on the Confine to blow up Confine and let Wildcard attack again, but that means you get to force a Xerax minus on something that isn't as impactful. So maybe that's still a good outcome for you. Also, like, if Slash the Simp draws a 5-drop instead of a land, then they can't play anything next turn and they kind of lose. Merlai. Still uncastable, funnily enough, due to not having double blue. And Kayiu doesn't have anything castable from the yard yet. I think the best play here is the Xerax Plus, right? Xerax Plus lets them Xerax minus 2 turns afterwards, and that probably wins the game. So Slash the Simp's in a very bad position right now, but they can still get out of this if they top deck well. Well, what would they need? Something like a top deck Wildcard. No, they can't get Wildcard plus a land. They definitely need a land play this turn, but they also need something useful. I suspect, like, yeah, land play Vasilia, hope it does something. Vasilia just dies some Xerax minus though, which is a problem. And do they get what they need? It's a top land, so no, it's not what they need, but at least it's a land. And they still can't cast Rift Off. And Kayiu just has to win before Slash the Simp gets Constance mana. They just need to get a big enough board presence before Constance comes down. And Slash the Simp can't top deck a land next turn and then play Drift Off. So that gets rid of Xerax and Merlai. Or at least it gets rid of enough stuff. Kayiu can pitch a land off Merlai, but they don't get the treasure if they do that. But I don't think they care at this point. Yeah, they're just going to pitch a land. I think at this point Xerax can minus. No, they're going to plus Xerax again. Xerax can ult this turn, but ult doesn't actually do that much. And they're going to surveil away Vibrant Vengeance for some reason. Alright, so that just means that yeah, Slash the Simp just needs to top deck a land. They need to top deck a white source, play Drift Off on Xerax and Merlai. Or is it Keeper of the Scale that's better? I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Archon. Okay, well, they can play Archon and put the thing on Keeper of the Scale, but that doesn't do anything because Xerax minus blows up both of them. I think they're still going to play Archon. Okay, well, it is a blocker, I guess. I still think Vasilia Flip will be better there because at least it forces a Xerax minus to deal with it. But what do I know? Like, you're already playing from a super far behind position. Merlai finds Xerax number 2. Okay, so how you can minus Xerax, blow up Archon, and play Xerax number 2. Or they can minus Xerax, blow up Confine, play Xerax number 2, and plus. That'd be pretty good for them. Xerax goes up to 11. And draws Vibrant Vengeance. Plays Vibrant Vengeance? Really? I mean, sure, I guess. And that's Flooded Morass, and let's just Glide Cleaver, wiping the entire board. Okay, yeah, I guess that also works for getting rid of the confines. But it does mean that, like, yeah, Rift Off the kick drift off would still be useful here. It gives Malicious and Xerax, and at least that prevents anything super big from happening next turn. And Czar, okay, that's not useful. And they had to play Czar, and I guess Czar -1 blows up one thing or something. No, they're going to plus, and they just die to. Well, actually, yeah, Czar plus technically is ramp. So if Sim manages to top deck a land next turn, then they do get to play Grand Consonance. They just need to not die this turn. Another Malicious Skycleaver. The malicious Skycleaver can wipe the land at least. That means that Sim still can't get to Consonance mana next turn. Kayiu flips Malicious Skycleaver. And now I don't think they can. I don't think Sim can kill Silver Scale Despot without killing themselves. Oh no, they're going to Unburden the Mind now, just to make sure Sim has no answers. Unburden. So Unburden can take Drift off, and then Kayiu can Malicious Skycleaver to blow up the new divide, and that puts Sim out of any outs. You're gonna take Consonance instead. Interesting. I would have gone for the guaranteed win instead of the. Well, I mean, Drift off still doesn't win Sim the game, so I don't think it really matters what gets taken here. Kayiu can also swing Silver Scale Despot at Czar, I guess, and that kills Czar, but Czar isn't doing much in this board state. Kaiyu's going to plus Xerax just to draw cards again. Find a Glana. They can play Glana and kill New Divide with it, right? They're going to draw with Miralai too and discard Wild Court Seeker. So Glana gets played, and then I'm assuming it's a minus to kill the New Divide. Actually, can Glana kill Planeswalkers? Yeah, it can. I still think killing the New Divide would have been more important there, but I mean, this also works out. It does give Sim the chance to drift off, I guess. That kind of doesn't really matter at this point. Actually, Silver Scale's Despot still doesn't kill next turn, so if Kayiu doesn't find more damage, then Sim can still get the top deck into Consonance that they need. New Divide finally finds the second planes, and I guess this is Drift Off. You could also go Drift Off Elranta Visionary. I think that might actually be better because like they need to they need to get Consonance mana now, or else they lose. Elranta Visionary digs them into outs. They only need to kill Silver Scale Despot to not die here, but they're still going to get rid of Xerax anyways. Yeah, so now they're just dead to Xerax. Oh yeah, I guess that's why they have to get rid of Xerax. They need to not die to Xerax minus. I mean Xerax out. Unfortunately, that still leaves them dead to. No, they're not dead this turn, but they're certainly not in a good position. You can go Xerax minus on the drift off and blows up both drift offs, gets back Malicious Skycleaver. Oh, they just died to land beats. Yep. Well, it still looks like Consonance isn't making it to the finals. But yeah, so I guess Kayiu finally gets revenge on losing to Consonance last GP. Well, anyways, I have no one to follow this GP anymore, so I guess that's probably the end of my REV coverage for this month.